Manchester United finally put in a dominant performance at the weekend, beating Brighton 4-2. 3-0 up, obviously substitutions were changed, game state. Brighton were allowed to get back into it, but a really convincing victory. High press, energetic. The centre-halves doing exactly what they were supposed to do when he took over. They haven't done it that well since the first half against Ipswich, the opening game of the Amorim era. That's the best first time that I've actually seen players, in particular in the game against Brighton, Luke Shaw diving into midfield, closing down Rutter, who was kind of playing this like shadow striker off the right kind of role. And we're going to break it down in FM. We've got 2.5 tactics to show you, all focusing out of possession today, how Amorim is setting up Manchester United in 2 separate ways to get the high press right. We've also got kind of like the Liverpool version of it as well, where they kind of park the bus with a bit of a 5-4-1 to finish. Let's get into it. In possession, what we're trying to do, by the way, the tactics are available for the patrons. Link down in the description. There's going to be 3 tactic files to show you for you to download into your direct download folder, easy to move across, supports the channel, etc. You've heard it before, but I'd really appreciate it. Like, loads have done that for the first couple of weeks of FM. Link down in the description if you want to support the channel. However, we will go through the ins and outs of possession for everything so you can see it. However, the ins for the 2 tactics are very similar. Well, I think they're actually for all 3 are the same. It's just 3 ways of setting up out of possession, which is the bits that you're going to change, okay? So generally, this is what we're looking at with Manchester United. I've kind of put Dorgu on the left-hand side as a wing-back on support, because if it's Dalot, like it has been the last couple of weeks, not great as going forward. The threat has definitely come down the right-hand side. However, if you're going with a Patrick Dorgu, I would probably put it on to an advance. So, ball-playing goalkeeper in Lemens. We've got a ball-playing defender in Yoro. Middle centre-back only in De Ligt. And then we've got a wide centre-back in Luke Shaw, who obviously we know Bruno's going to go into there. So it'll give Luke Shaw the opportunity to move forward a little bit. Probably more comfortable at doing that than what Yeni Yoro is doing. Ahmad as an advanced wing-back on the right. DM in Casemiro. Box-to-box playmaker in Bruno, who we know, this is one of the roles that we're going to cover in a video very soon. We know that he loves going into there. As I said, we've covered that. Inside forward, attacking midfielder. Like for these, you know, it could be a shadow striker for Mbeumo with maybe the instruction of play wider, but I've just gone inside forward just so we get that directness from sort of like out to in. And then Cunha, once again, this is where you're free to change it, guys. I'm not building a tactic to dominate FM. It's giving you a base, a platform, a foundation to play a Ruben way, and then you're free to tweak and move as far away from it as possible. But I'm giving you it down the line as best I possibly can. So I've put Cunha as an AM, but it could be an advanced, maybe not an advanced playmaker. Could even be a sadder striker with a couple of role instructions, you know, dribble more, etc. And then free roll could definitely be that. And I didn't want to do free roll just on basis I'm not comfortable with it yet and what it can and can't do. There will be a free roll video. My first player roll of FM26 is coming out next week. We will be covering the free roll, so I really want to dive into that first before risking it in a tactic. And up front, in possession, Sesko, target forward. Brilliant start for him. Not scored maybe the goals that he deserves, but his performances, especially over the last month or so, have been pretty damn good. So that is what we're trying to create in the game, in possession. Now, that is the same for all 3 tactics, but what Manchester United did out of possession was very different from this 5-2-3 that we've seen. Now, apologies for the quality on this. I've had to find a dodgy link to watch the full game back. I had a really good link on Twitter, but it was pulled down. So I had to search the internet, and my main website that I use to watch all the games back, I have a delayed sort of like 6 weeks before the sort of like the videos go onto the channel, the games go onto the channel. So I've had to find this scrubby kind of content to kind of show you what they were doing early on in the game. So this player here is Luke Shaw. And what it looks like, you know, that's Casemiro. That is Cunha. We've got Dalot in here. You've got Fernandes, Sesko, and Mbeumo. So at the moment, it looks almost like a little bit of a 4-4-2 or even a 4-4-1-1 if you kind of had Mbeumo dropping a little bit deeper. Diallo's right back in pretty much an advanced right back area. And that is Luke Shaw. Now, this dude here, I think at the moment, it may even be Welbeck, but it was Welbeck and Rutter who were kind of swapping and rotating in between. And Luke Shaw, I don't know if Brighton's tactics have fallen right into Manchester United hands, but it made it really comfortable for Luke Shaw to go and do this. And I do think Lisandro is going to be really good front-footed defender, aggressive. He's going to be really good at this, where they leave the defensive line out of possession, especially in a low, when the ball's high up the pitch and sort of like the back four. This is, I think, Van Heck here in possession of the ball. So they've got plenty of time, Luke Shaw, to drop back in. And that's what we're going to focus on in the game. Can we get that working in Football Manager, where obviously we know Luke Shaw in possession, as we've got in the team instructions, the in possession part, is playing as a left centre-back. What can we do with him out of possession? So here he is, as I said, driving really high. This led here he is again. This is Rutter. That is Luke Shaw. That is Casemiro. The ball's been played into Rutter's feet. A little bit of a stitch, if I'm honest, but this is what you get with these principal coaches, where you've got to play it into certain areas, these autonomisms, is it? Where you constantly got to do the same things over and over, even in tight areas. Rutter doesn't do well. I think he tries to buy a free kick, doesn't get it. For once, Luke Shaw wins it. I think the third goal, I think, is a bit debatable, but this one, he wins it fairly. Casemiro then goes through and scores. But once again, leaving that area behind him, going and pressing. If he isn't here and he's maybe in this area here, Rutter's then going to be able to get it turned and then drive at him. So super important that he's aggressive. And we haven't seen this from Manchester United for a while. Now, this is where he gets a little bit caught out, get a little bit of luck here. So this is actually the third goal. Van Heck's with us, but breakdown of possession. Man United not in a bad shape. However, Luke Shaw's just sat off a little bit too deep. The ball's going to go into Jorginho Rutter. Luke Shaw then closes down. Rutter goes down extremely easily. And, I did like the refereeing a little bit where it was kind of get up, but it was a free kick. It was a free kick. And we half got away with it, but at the same time, he was still aggressive enough. If we go back to the previous clip, in an old Manchester United, like, he's on the front foot, he's kind of reading it. He's maybe giving himself too much to do to cover that space in there. That is a lot of ground to cover over a short distance, but at least he gets there. And to be honest, in this scenario here, if he gives away a free kick, it's not the end of the world, is it? He's kind of stopped a counter-attack there. And this is what Manchester United were not doing well at all last season. They've done it better this year. I think the best performance of the season was the Arsenal game, but they did shape themselves up very different, even to the 5-2-3 that we've seen, and this 4-1-4-1, where they at times almost look like a 4-4-2. So this is another part, and we're going to cover in the game as well, where not this 5-2-3, trying to keep at least one of the wing-backs high and not allowing them to get pinged back in this 5-2-3 shape. It maybe looks a little bit like it here with the three, but Cunha's on the other side, and you could say right back, centre-backs, Luke Shaw and De Ligt. Yoro is in a narrow right-back. You've got Dalot tucked in. I think it's a good job role for that Dalot when he's on that left-hand side. We don't want him near our goal, do we? And then in here you've got your midfield four, Diallo, Casemiro, Bruno, and Cunha, with your two strikers in Mbeumo and Sesko. 4-4-2. Now, in here, once again, they're getting into these pockets. This is where Man United get caught out, when the gaps between the two players are exceptionally big. I don't know what led to this exact highlight here. For me, I think the idea would be for Diallo to be, if I do a better arrow, to be a little bit narrower. So then it stops that pass going into there. But what we have got now, Yoro's been pinned by Minter, but we've got no one here. No one here. Casemiro's picking up Welbeck, look. But what we could have, and you can see De Ligt is ready to step in and go and press. So it's better. It's not perfect. My only worry a little bit with these ones is that when you're asking defenders, like Luke Shaw was on it. He was on it at the weekend. So was De Ligt. But the days that Luke Shaw is not on it, it could be really bad. And in these scenarios here, when you're expecting defenders to jump all the time, all I would prefer is, as I said, to Diallo, just to be a touch narrower. And it kind of cuts out that pass a little bit more. That's been extremely picky. I know they do break. I think the ball goes into Rutter and then he spins one down that side, which he's kind of fine because Yoro's fast, Minter's fast, and I think Welbeck gets a decent chance, and that's coming from Casemiro's kind of laziness, should I say, to go and press and to go and close him down. But the signs are there. Once we get a better level of player in certain positions, we may even see a better Manchester United, in particular in here in these 2-6 positions. And another one, last little clip, it's back to the dodgy website. We have got a very, very aggressive 4-1-4-1, and this is what we're going to cover first. So that is Dalot, that is De Ligt, that is Yoro, and then who is it? Diallo. He's out of picture, but he's in and around this area here. We've then got Luke Shaw playing as a sitter, and then you've got four midfielders. 1, 2, 3, for Casemiro, Bruno, Cunha, Fernandez on this side, and then Mbeumo with Benjamin Sesko as the lone striker. So you've got a very, very clear 4-1-4-1. And that in there is Jorginho Rutter. And once again, as we can cycle Luke Shaw, he's ready to pounce, stopping that ball going in. If there is a passing, we're quite narrow, really good shape. Cunha's doing a good job. Mbeumo's nice and narrow, not letting passes through the middle. Superb setup for Manchester United. So with that, we've put two main tactics together. As I said, the in-possessions on both of them are exactly the same. However, we did start the season trying to replicate a 4-1-4-1, and we've done it. Are you ready? We're doing something like that. Now, we make a change mid-game, and I'll show you the tweak. The tactic that I'll actually send you will be the completed version, not my testing version. But the idea behind that was to create that 4-1-4-1. However, we know that when the ball is then put into the final third, Luke Shaw doesn't stay as a CDM. He drops back in. He does that initial high press to go into that sort of like CDM role, but then drops back into the centre half. So I'm really keen on seeing how it works in Football Manager. I've left it like that with a bit of an offset back four, just so when Luke Shaw does drop in, that he can naturally drop in. We don't want him dropping in into these areas or these areas. I thought with a black four, it might get a little bit confused. So I've done that because I wasn't sure how the game worked. However, mid-game, we see the problem and we change and we tweak. So that is what we were going with to try and recreate that 4-1-4-1. Okay, so the first highlight we're going to show you is coming from Luke Shaw and what his movement is like in and out of possession. I'm just going to highlight him here to start with. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't track the players, but he is there. That is Luke Shaw right there. Okay? And you've got your back four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your two sitters. You've got Fernandez, Mbeumo and Sesko, and then you've got Cunha doing a job on that left-hand side. So you can see that Luke Shaw is pushed out ahead. He's pushed in front of that man. The idea is closing down that space. Now, the problem we have with this little scenario here is when the ball plays, just keep your eye on him, look. He's right there. As the play develops, what I'm looking at, who he's marking. So the number 7 is Xavi Simons. Tottenham are playing in a 4-2-3-1. They've got Richarlison here on this left. They've got Koulibaly, and I think that's Brennan Johnson with then Simons in behind. So really, when you want Luke Shaw stepping out into there, you want him really tracking Xavi Simons. That's the guy, De Ligt, the other defenders, Yoro can deal with Koulibaly. But Shaw's job, if he is going to go in there, is to cut out service into the number 10s. And you can see Xavi Simons has made a little run. He's ignored it because he's gone a little bit ball crazy. As you can see, we've gone 3v1 in there. Brennan Johnson ain't that good, is he? So a little bit unnecessary. And that was my worry, that he would then, so can you see Xavi Simons now, the number 7, highlighted right here. That's a little bit of an issue for me, that he's kind of getting sucked towards the ball when he doesn't. And it's not really what Luke Shaw does in the game. Can you see Xavi Simons run? It's meant De Ligt has gone extremely narrow. It's ended up being Lenny Yoro has been the middle centre-back. Amad is pretty much playing as the third centre-back, which is not entirely what we wanted. He gets in now. Can you see Luke Shaw? He's right in there. He's right in there now. So he's got himself back in. I think the ball comes in. We clear with it. We're absolutely fine. But a little bit of a worry for me was how that was going to work on a regular basis, especially when if we want Luke Shaw going in there, the idea that he's not just going in there for the sake of it, we need him to go and engage with maybe a high number 8 or that number 10. So what I decided to do was to go into the team instructions into Luke Shaw and make a little bit of a change where we put, as you can see, Xavi Simons as man marking job. So now we're hoping that Luke Shaw, when he does step out into the areas, he's stepping out because he wants to kind of engage with Xavi Simons in that number 10 role. And then one of the other problems we faced with the tactic is right here, is Spurs' opening goal, where we just get caught out a little bit. So if I bring it back, I tell you what, let it play on. There you go. Johnson scores. If I bring it back a little bit, now it's not Luke Shaw's fault, but with that tactic that I've kind of set up with that big gap, Luke Shaw is in here. We've got Dorgu as the left back. We've got De Ligt who's moved across to mark the number 10. But what it's given is that huge hole, look. And Brennan Johnson is going to capitalise on that big hole, and he's going to go in that gap there. In he goes, onside. Dorgu don't track the run, and we score. And that's not really down to Luke Shaw. It's a little bit my mistake. It's definitely my mistake for leaving that big gap that we had, and at the same time as well, a little bit of a player issue with Dorgu. So what we did, we went into the game, we changed it. We decided to bring the De Ligt across to make a proper flat back four, and then I was just hoping with that, then Luke Shaw would still fit in that kind of left centre-back role out of possession. And I think it actually ended up working really well. So there's Luke Shaw, look, left-sided centre-half, De Ligt the middle man, Yoro's the right side, so we're okay there. We lose possession, it's a poor header from De Ligt. I wish defender, like, he has all, like, look at the height on him there. Just bring the ball down. He doesn't. Players developed. Like, Luke Shaw, just watch his movement. So he's in there, like, he's ready to step in now. Can you see? He's on the front foot, and he tries to step in. He steps into Xavi Simons, exactly what we wanted. It was kind of, the pass was then played out wide to Brennan Johnson in the end. I think Richarlison decided to put it in there rather than a little one in here where we've got numbers. So Luke Shaw stepping in really well, look, to close down Xavi Simons. So super happy with that. But now the issue is, now he's stepped out, where will he go? How will it dislodge our kind of back four? Can we get back into that back five? And then as the play develops, can you still now see he's playing as a CDM? But by the time Johnson skips past Dorgu, like he did for the opening goal, Luke Shaw's got himself in to a really good position. We've now got a really good tight, I know Dorgu's been done in there, but a really good tight back four. And the play ends up finishing with Luke Shaw step in, brilliant tackle, wins the ball. I was absolutely buzzing. And then the last one I'm going to show you is just what Luke Shaw does in this little area. His timings are absolutely brilliant, and I'm really happy. It's definitely a GG to the Football Manager match engine team with this one, because it works. It's working exactly how I would want it to work. So we know we've got this man marking job on him, Luke Shaw here with Xavi Simons, but you can see as play develops, he's now dropping back in. He was going to get involved, but he's dropped back in, so he's now back alongside De Ligt in that, like, sort of left centre back. Look, as play develops, he's quite close to Xavi Simons, as you could see. Flick on, he goes and engages. We get the ball back. That's down to his pressure as well, because Xavi Simons has turned into the middle, into Fernandes. He's then dropping back in. Look, we've now lost possession again, but he's back in that left centre back role, and he'll bide his time. He doesn't follow him. It's not like, I always say, it's not like that Ander Herrera versus Eden Hazard in the FA Cup when Mourinho just got him to follow him about and boot him about for like 90 minutes. It's not that at all. He does it at really clever times. Look, he's going in to engage now. If I just bring it back, as Vicario goes there. Sorry, it sounded like Gary Neville there. He, as it goes long, he has a little look. No, I'm going to drop back in to make the 5. And then we're in, and he's now playing as a left centre-back. I know it's an only tiny detail, but he's doing exactly what I was hoping he would do in Football Manager compared to real life. It's absolutely superb. Now, my only issue with this one is that Luke Shaw's not going to be great at all the time. I think Lysandro's going to be perfect, and Luke Shaw, them two dovetailing and not playing loads of games, swapping between the two, I think would work extremely well. Be interested to see how they do it on the weekend against Nottingham Forest, because there's going to be some quick players in there. Gibbs White, Anderson, they're going to look to hit Man United on the break, so it's super key that when Man United turn the ball over in higher areas, Luke Shaw is absolutely on it. I've got a funny feeling though that he's going to go with De Ligt, Maguire and Shaw, which will maybe limit the kind of the numbers of high presses that we see from our wide centre backs. So the other version, the second version, is doing it like this, which is a very offset 4-4-2. Now, the idea why I've done this is so you can press high in a 4-4-2. This is what Manchester United do. They often press high in a 4-4-2, and then as play develops, if we just go a perfect thing, the visualiser that everybody absolutely loves, out of possession, if we start really high, you can see we've got a nice 4-4-2. Yeah? As play develops, 4-4-2, as play develops in here, that final third, we're now looking a little bit like a 5-4-1. And this is what Manchester United will tend to do. Diallo will often drop into a right back in deeper positions where the opponents have it. So that's what we've tried to recreate. And it's really easy. It's probably more of the, look, if you're wanting to go really basic out there, just move Dalot across. Move Yoro across as a right back and put Ahmad as just a wide midfielder. But I just wanted to try and create that 4-4-2 kind of high mid block. And then when you're back in your low block, the tracking doesn't automatically go straight back, and he follows in and tracks into that sort of like final third for the opponents. That when you see him really moving in to sort of like help out his right back in Lena Yoro. And then we've just got a couple of clips to show you how this team's set up. So as you can see, we've now got Sesko alongside Mbeumo, Diallo, Casemiro, Fernandes and Cunha. And then we've got Yoro, De Ligt, Shaw, and Dorgu playing as the left back. So as play develops, we just have a nice shape. It's a nice bog standard shape. As you can see, Diallo, very key on this right hand side, is not going and following and being a back five, flat back five. He could do because he's behind their left winger. I think it's Mitoma, I think, on that left hand side. But if we just bring it back, as play develops, good high press, we're in, Casemiro steps in and then we're breaking. And we're nice and compact. And we play off Sesko like, so frustrating. Put it in there, swaz it in there, Sesko. He doesn't, unfortunately. He recycles the ball. And he goes back to Casemiro goes back to the fullback. But a really good sign of just setting up really basic. Arsenal do it. Arsenal, the best probably defensive team in the world at the moment. And they generally set up in a kind of like a 4-4-2 out the time. So it works really simple. I just like the first one because it's something completely different, like doing the drop-in centre-back role, which I'm going to do a massive video on when I'm doing my main save, York City. I'm going to be building, I'm doing my main save is offline. It's not going to be on a YouTube. It's going to be me just playing in my own time. And I want to build my new tactical philosophy, a very sort of like unique 4-3-3 that I trialled with the team that I was coaching, Kirby Mosa. I did a video actually on FM24, but the FM26 instructions have given me a new lease of life with that. So I'm super excited to dive in, and dropping centre-back is a huge part of it. So we're going to cover that in a massive video, hopefully pretty damn soon, maybe like late November time. I will leave a link, by the way, to the video that I did. Really good insight, hopefully, to what I see. Maybe not in professional sort of like top level games. That's not going to be a team, but I'm hopefully going to be managing a football team next summer. At a decent grassroots level, so amateur level. So this is like the style that I'm going to try and implement. So I want to implement it in my York City save. So make sure you subscribe, by the way. That'd be awesome. The last little one is just how defensively compact we get. So Cunha here, it's part of the midfield. Look, there you go. There's our midfield four. And what I just like is the compactness. Look how narrow he gets. When you're playing, we have got a couple of team instructions that I'll show you in a little bit. The team instructions are very much press outside, allow that ball to stay narrow and then press. But the idea is that we stay narrow. There's a little bit of a gap there, but we've got two really key players in here. Sesko and in particular Mbeumo. We've got Mbeumo as a tracking forward. So he's often picking up the number 6 who's dropping deep and helping out. And once again, the possession's moving across. We stay nice and compact. This is what I really like. As the ball goes out, this is what I love my left midfielders, my left wingers to do. And this is what I had in my football philosophy videos and it's been super difficult to do in FM24, is that they pretty much come a left central midfielder. Look at Cunha's position. Now for me, he's in a really dangerous area there. Breast attack. And we'll be covering a video just on rest attack. He is in a superb place for rest attack. If he's out here, the chance of him picking up a spare ball, a little bit less. In here, there's going to be any short passes, any sort of like ricochets. He's in a really good position there to get it and then drive at the heart of defence. He can run at Van Heck. He can do a little combination with Sesko. Sesko may even spin in there and he can play him in. The options are endless. So he's in a really good, helping his team. He's not cheating. He's not like an outlet. He's not staying out here, this sort of area, and saying, I'm just going to cheat here and wait for the ball. No, he's helping out his team, one. But I think number 2, a really dangerous area for rest attack. So team instructions in Football Manager look a little bit like this. So for the 4-4-1-1, team instructions. Now the team instructions for in possession are exactly the same. All right. Shorter passing because we want to try and dominate the ball a little bit. Higher tempo. Let's go all instructions. Shorter passing, higher tempo, standard time wasting. Attacking transition, counter attack, really wide. Keep the ball in play, more expressive. Bypass the press because we're not looking to sort of like get involved in early too much build up. We know Lamens has been going long, so that's why I've gone bypass press and long kicks. distribute it to Sesko, the target forward. They even did that. We didn't play, I think it was Cunha played as like a bit of a false nine kind of position. They still launched it up and right, quite happy for Van Dijk and Konate to win the first balls, and then Man United, we know, jumped on them second balls really well. Balanced supporting runs, encourage more dribbling. We've got some fantastic dribblers in the team now. Progress down both flanks. That's because of this image right here. The sort of like the waves of attack, where the percentage-wise they went and they win against Brighton. Balanced pass reception, go up behind sometimes, play in space, sometimes play to feet. Work the ball into the box, shots from distance balanced, and crossing style balanced. Now, the out of possession, high press, defensive line much higher, more often trigger press, counter press, yes, get stuck in. Balanced, and yes, for cross engagement, pressing trap, and short distribution. We're going to try and aim to get the goalkeeper to really kick it long if we can. We've got 3 centre-backs there that are going to win those duels. We'd like to think that. The 4-4-2 is exactly the same in possession. Out of possession, trap outside. So we get that really narrow, compact 4-4-2. All right, guys, I think that's everything. It's super. I hope it's not been too complicated. Please let me know down in the comments. I've tried to cover a lot there, and it's a little bit niche, but I hope you've really enjoyed the insight. And I think it gives you a really good insight as well into what you can do in Football Manager 26 with these superb out-of-possession instructions. GG Football Manager. The game is all over the place at the moment, but with my content right now, I'm absolutely loving it, because it's just being able to do, you know, setting this tactic up last night and then playing it and thinking, oh shit, it actually works how I want it to work, is making me super happy. So yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching. Check out that Patreon, muchly appreciated. There'll be a couple of videos maybe over the weekend, some sort of like lesser ones, and then we're really going to dive into some meaty stuff next week. Cheers guys, take care, see you later.